welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked, so excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. Once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you, my friends?
I'm doing pretty well, Brian. How are you, dude?
Very good. Very riled up.
Wow,
I mean, you think about the depths of everything that there is to cover today. Very good there. You know, really the don't have a spare second. Gotta go. Quick, gotta go. Really does apply.
Oh, yeah. Fucking A, baby.
The division previews, I mean, I think a couple of years ago, we were doing division previews and we were talking like 2-hour shows.
Yeah, 2-hour shows. But I feel like again, it must have been last season too. I don't think we did one a day.
No,
I think we did like the NL one day and the AL the next day.
That's probably what it was. So, yeah, it's nice to get a little more in depth.
Yeah, this format way better, Brian.
Absolutely, sir. So let's just get started. You know, obviously we'll give you one at the end too, but the Arnold Palmer Invitational, presented by MasterCard.
Oh, really?
At Arnold Palmer's Bay Hill Club and Lodge, underway. So kind of getting back to the East Coast time here. You know, we were very used to, I know obviously we had the Honda last week, but you know, this being the elevated event, we were used to seeing these on West Coast time. So the early start. So a lot of golfers on the course already. Some guys more than halfway through their rounds. Right now, a four-way tie at the top. Jordan Spieth, Harris English, Will Zalatoris, and Cam Young, each coming in at 3 under par. With Adam Schenk at 2 under, as well as Scotty Scheffler and a host of other golfers. So very early on here. And I just wanted to see, I know JT last time I checked was even. Did he pick up 1 under? Or are we talking about 1 over? What are we talking about?
What are we talking about, Brian?
We're talking about 1 over.
Rory?
Rory, I don't believe it's teed off. I'm looking on here. And yeah, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa. But yeah, Rory is not teed off. So we'll have a more, full leaderboard, at the end of the show. But I know it's so early. He's only played 8 holes and he started on the back 9 here. But Jordan Spieth,
killing it.
3 under. I mean, through 8, I think that's a really good start.
Can he keep it up, you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
And he hasn't won in a little bit, so I think this would be good. Just before we get into major championship season, and he is dying to complete that career Grand Slam. The PGA Championship, his lone remaining major. He has not won, so he'll get a crack at that in Rochester, New York, in a couple months there. So that should be something interesting to keep an eye out for. So we'll definitely, like I said, update you guys at the end of the show. But for now, let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. The back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Sayonara. Where did that land?
Stuck to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. So obviously today we are going to talk the NL Central. But before we do that, I just wanted to mention yesterday the Yankees walk it off, a game that was on ESPN at George M. Steinbrenner Field. They defeat the Washington Nationals 4-2. And it was funny, an unheralded guy I've never heard of. The last name is Navarez. I don't know if there's any relation to Omar Navarez, the new Met catcher. But he had a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th to give the Yankees a 4-2 lead. And this was a game which featured a lot of Yankee regulars, a lot of guys, vying to make this roster. Anthony Volpe had a nice play. And then also, we saw Rizzo get his first action of the spring, picking up a single. We saw Harrison Bader with a triple. I am really, really excited to see Bader a full season with the Yankees. It really feels like a career year is incoming.
Oh, yeah.
And he is someone definitely that I'm going to be targeting in my fantasy baseball draft. So definitely can't wait for that.
What number are you taking him?
I have a feeling though. I mean, really thinking about it, I can't see him going earlier than the 5th round.
Right.
Might even be because you look at it career wise. I mean, he hasn't had a crazy year in the major leagues just yet, but something about his comfortability, since he joined the Yankees, it really seems like it's taken his talents to a whole nother level. And he's a guy who actually, really has only played over 100 games here 3 times. So he's looking to put in that full season, and his career high set in 2021, 16 home runs he hit in 103 games. So you think about over the course of 162, that's low 20s with the home runs, which would be definitely welcomed here. Were the Mets in action yesterday, Tony?
They were. I believe they beat Miami, I think, actually. I don't think really much to really write home about. I
8-4.
believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Dude, maybe I got to look it up, actually. Why am I kind of blanking on his name here?
Brooks Raley picking up the win. Former
Raley.
Ray. Mauricio hit another home run.
3rd home run, dude. I think he has 7 at bats, 3 home runs in
Yeah.
the spring season. That's
Lindor
what I
and
was looking
Alonso
at, dude.
hit home runs as well.
And I mean, I think for someone like Mauricio Ronnie over there to kind of, make a big splash early on spring season. I mean, obviously it's huge for the Mets because I mean, we talked about them needing another bat, talked about them maybe trying to take a flyer, taking a chance on their youthful players. And obviously, Brett Beatty kind of came into play. Alvarez came in, was a name that was mentioned as well. But maybe it's time, Ronnie gets a good look at the majors because I mean, hey man, if he's doing this well in spring training, like why not give him a shot, right?
Yeah. And I think that's something that we've been pushing for, the last couple of years here, getting these young guys up earlier, because they've shown they can produce. So,
dude.
and it's the same thing like with the Yankees and Jason Dominguez, with Anthony Volpe. We feel those guys are ready to go. And also some disappointing news, a guy that really wasn't a lock even to make the roster, but Austin Wells, Tony, out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yikes.
I'm not sure the exact injury, but something on his side, I believe. So, I mean, it was widely expected that you'll see Higgy and Trevino open up the year. But with that, they have another injury too, to a catching prospect. So there's been some talk about Gary Sanchez on a minor league deal, but I think that's more speculation.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really can't see that happening. It just seems like a marriage that's better off staying in a divorce, Tony. And I think you could definitely agree with that.
Yes.
Yanks will be back in action today in Bradenton, Florida here, taking on the Pirates. That one underway at 1:05. The Mets 1:10. They will be facing the Atlanta Braves, and this one coming from their home park in Port St. Lucie. I heard this too on the radio yesterday. The Mets game that was on ESPN, I want to say they were playing the Astros the other day.
Yeah.
It was the highest rated spring training game in 7 years. Isn't that unbelievable? Spring training.
Really, dude?
Yeah. Everyone was speculating, because of the rule changes, people just are interested to see, what I know you're going to say something
nothing about the
Mets.
teams. No, nothing about the 2 teams.
Nothing about the 2 teams.
Two teams that could, potentially face off in the World
No,
Series. Dude,
no. Nobody said anything about that.
That's weird. I thought sure someone thought it.
Any thoughts though? I was kind of thinking about this on my way down this morning. How you really look at this, and other than the Cactus League, and it's only because of the time difference, they start a little later in the afternoon, but the lack of night games, Tony, for spring training. What are your thoughts there? I mean, do you think that you like it the way it is, or do you think because people are working, obviously they can't catch a lot of these games, maybe they could watch the rerun, but it's nice to have a live game to watch? Or do you think they do this because people are going to watch the NHL, the NBA before they even think about watching spring training baseball, unless you're a diehard?
Yeah. Even if you are a diehard, I mean, I would obviously I'm a big Met fan, a big Ranger fan, especially now. If I had to choose, I'm watching the Rangers game at night for sure. I think a lot of things go into it, like you said, the fact that you really don't want to compete with any sports at this point because it's just spring training. I would imagine also facilities have to do with the time of the games, how they can kind of maybe occupy or kind of accommodate, players, fans at night and players at that point, like do some of these fields really have great lights and stuff like that? Of course, you always have that. When you're watching games, people are out. It's the afternoon. They're down in the grass in the outfield having a good time. Also spring training is revolved around. The spring break. School. I believe I think high school had their break last week or something. College has spring break now. I think maybe they're banking on a lot of people, families vacationing down in Florida because it's cold up here, warm down there. Maybe they go down there, have a nice day game to catch and stuff like that. I like it. And then again, for me, it gives me something to kind of monitor during the day. If, I'm not busy or anything, maybe even tune in. So I like the format right now, Brian. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I like I was saying though, I think we have a camera that's in need of a battery potentially.
Oh shit, dude. What? I got
but
you.
I just, it would be nice to have something on, when you get home. I mean, that's just my thoughts. So maybe they could just, I'm not saying, make all of the games start at night, but maybe have a couple more. I think that would be something that would be attractive to these baseball fans, like me and you. And actually some news involving the Mets. The first one, not directly here, but Jared Kelenic, the former Met prospect, third home run of the spring. So who knows, maybe finally turning the corner. We've seen him struggle mightily at the major league level the last couple of years. Seattle, yes. So that's something interesting to monitor. But this directly involving the Mets, according to Tim Britton of The Athletic, the Mets plan to use a 6-man rotation at certain points during the season. He goes on to say it makes sense with one of the older rotations in the league, especially with Kodai Senga adjusting to the MLB schedule. As of now, the idea would be to utilize a 6th starter on occasion where the Mets play more than 10 consecutive days. But other situations could pop as well. Injuries could shake up any sort of ideal plan. Even though David Peterson and Tyler McGill didn't project to make the opening day rotation, odds are they are both going to play significant roles for the Mets this season. Any thoughts here, Tony, on the Mets possibly going to a 6-man rotation?
I kind of like it, honestly. I mean, again, you just mentioned a couple of things there. That kind of makes sense to have a 6-man rotation. One of those, being the fact that we do have Verlander and Scherzer, some of the older pitchers in the league. And of course, Scherzer being someone who struggled a little bit with injury last year. And then, bringing Kodai Senga over, obviously him adjusting to the amount of games he will be playing, how many starts he will be having, much different than what he was used to playing over in Japan. So I kind of appreciate that, especially, David Peterson's outing, I think a few days ago was pretty solid in spring training, 2 innings, 3 Ks. I think only give him 1 hit. He looked like he had some good stuff. Tyler McGill, I believe, pitched yesterday.
Yes. 2 innings, I think 1 earned.
All right, not terrible, I suppose. But I think he's someone who, a lot of Mets fans want to lean on. He's young, and I think it's someone who, if he can develop, can be, a reasonable starter who's, manageable in terms of length and damage control and stuff like that. So I'm all about the 6-man rotation, right?
No.
Why?
I like a 5-man just because you have your 1 or 2 guys in the
momentum
bullpen that can start, and I especially the quality of the Yankee rotation this year. I want those guys getting the ball every 5th day. But when you have a surplus or you have kind of a weaker back end, but I think, and also it does make sense with Senga. I mean, the Yankees went through that with Tanaka, the extra day of rest that they're used to having in Japan. So I get it. It'll be interesting to see what happens though. So on to the NL Central here. Just to give everybody an idea of where we found ourselves last season, kind of similar to the NL West, where you have a couple teams at the top, kind of far away, leading the pack, and then a middle team, and then 2 teams at the bottom. So Cardinals won 93 games. Unfortunately for them, losing that wild card series. The Brewers And I believe it was to the Phillies, if I'm not mistaken. Brewers did not make the playoffs at 86 and 76, Cubs 74 and 88, and then the Reds and the Pirates both winning 62 games. And two teams really that
Yikes.
not much is expected, once again. And it is kind of a shame because you go back 5 to 10 years. This was one of the stronger divisions in Major League Baseball. You think about those Cubs teams, and obviously the one that won the World Series, with Anthony Rizzo and company.
And the Cardinals too.
The Cardinals, have always been pretty consistent. The bottom never seems to fall off. The Brewers, when Yelich was going and they had Prince Fielder, just to name a couple guys, they've typically been strong. So now we find ourselves, I mean, it's hard not to almost think that we could see a similar type of win-loss and standing order this year. And I think the Cardinals are interesting. You lose a lot of defense switching catchers from Yadi Molina, but then you pick up offense and Wilson Contreras.
Oh, yeah.
And he made some interesting comments saying, that this organization he could tell far better than Chicago. So really taking a dig after spending, his entire career with the division rival. So I thought that was interesting. You have reigning and National League MVP Paul Goldschmidt looking to, have another great year. Of course, Nolan Arenado. Is it 10 consecutive Gold Gloves, Tony, or at least 9? He's been on quite the run. But other than that, I mean, you got Brendan Donovan at second, Tommy Edman at short.
I like Tommy Edman.
Yeah, solid, not spectacular. Tyler O'Neill, this guy who's always had a lot of hype. It'll be interesting to see, what type of numbers he can put up this year. Dylan Carlson, Lars Nootbaar, and Juan Yepes, kind of rounding out the offense for the Cardinals. In terms of the rotation,
Jordan Montgomery,
two guys that we are both very familiar with, Jordan Montgomery being the 2 starter and the 5th starter, Steven Matz.
Wow.
So you think about that, and then you think about 3 guys that have been Cardinals their whole career in Jack Flaherty, Adam Wainwright, and Miles Mikolas. And Flaherty is an interesting case. I mean, clearly one of the better pitchers in the whole league a few years ago, but has really struggled with injuries. I believe one year was a Tommy John situation, but has not made more than 17 starts since 2019. Of course, 2020 was shortened, but 17 and 21, and then only 9 starts last year. But you look at 2019. He was 11 and 8, 2.75, striking out 231 batters in 196 innings. He might have won the Cy Young that year as well. That's something that we could check the 2019 NL Cy Young.
Fourth place.
Oh, never mind. I'm curious who won that year. What do we got?
Let's see if they say
you would imagine so, Tony. Jacob deGrom.
That makes more sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What are we thinking, dude?
So supposedly he's healthy. And then you think about the rest of the rotation. Wainwright was solid last year, as well as Mikolas. Matt's kind of up and down. And Jordan Montgomery really took his game to a new level in terms of when he came over from the Yankees. His ERA, Yankees 3.69, ERA with the Cardinals 3.11. As well as in terms of strikeouts, he was almost at a strikeout an inning. So there was an uptick there as well. Struggled against some more quality opponents. So it'll be interesting to see, his first full season in St. Louis, how he performs. But and then you got Helsley as closer with former Yankee, actually, Giovanni Gallegos, who came over in the Luke Voit trade, setting him up along with former closer Jordan Hicks. You also have Genesis Cabrera. So in terms of the Cardinals, Tony, I mean, would you think do you feel confident that they're going to be one of the premier teams in the NL Central, or do you feel like they do have some questions to be answered?
I don't know. I mean, the biggest questions, I feel like, again, Arenado, not a question. I mean, he's going to be a superstar again this season. Goldschmidt, where's necessary? How is he going to follow up his year? I could probably see, even if it's not as good as last season, it's still going to be really good. So I think, and Tyler O'Neill too, I feel like I've always been a big fan of him. He's great contact, like great power. Tommy Edman, we mentioned their infield. I think their offense won't really be an issue. I've seen some up and downs from Adam Wainwright a little bit. I mean, he's got to be getting up there in age, dude. He's
40s.
fucking, dude, like Jesus, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he gets kind of inconsistent. Miles Mikolas, same type of. I think last season he was just like absolutely lights out. Some starts, not so good, but it's typical, whatever. I think he'll be fine. Steven Matz, don't have a whole ton of confidence in him. Kind of, pretty big fall from grace, you could say, being now a 5th starter for the Cards here. Monty, I think, will do well. So, I think all around, they really shouldn't run into too much trouble in this division. So, I would say, yeah. I mean, like you alluded to earlier, I think this division is gonna kind of look up to what it was last year.
One team though that definitely is gunning for St. Louis would be Milwaukee. You think about the pitching they have with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff at the top of their rotation. You also have Freddie Peralta, Eric Lauer, and Wade Miley, rounding out the rotation. And it's interesting with Peralta, he was a key cog in the bullpen after being a failed, highly touted starting prospect, and now they have him back in the rotation. So there's a lot of expectation there. The bullpen, they traded away Hader, which now seems like a good move. Devin Williams has been one of the better setup men, and now their closer the last couple of years. So there's high expectations there. You got Matt Bush, who closed for the Rangers as a setup guy, and a kind of a few no names, but Javi Guerrera, as a setup guy as well. As far as the offense is concerned, I think that might be a slight problem. It's interesting. When they got Willy Adames from the Rays a couple years ago, he was seen as a guy, not really that strong offensively.
Right.
He's turned into their best offensive player. And Christian Yelich, who at one time was easily a top 3 player, especially on the offensive side of things in the Major League Baseball, and on a bargain contract at that time. He had taken an undermarket deal, and unfortunately, I'm sure he's kicking himself now. It has been quite some time since we've seen that version of Christian Yelich. The power, the average, just aren't there. So I think this is a big year for Christian Yelich, because I think it's now or never. You look at the last couple of years. I mean, last year, 252. Which sadly, when you look at the year before, and really, the couple years before, 205 in the COVID season, 248 in 2021, but last year, 14 home runs in 154 games. So slugging 383. You look at the height of his powers, back-to-back years, 2018, 2019, 598 slugs, 671 slugs. So, obviously no one is expecting him to really revert back to that form, but you never know. I mean, he's 31, he's not 41. So maybe, he gets some good instruction that'll kind of turn things around for him. But that is a major question mark as your left fielder. Jesse Winker at DH, Tyrone Taylor in right, Garrett Mitchell in center. I believe former Marlin Brian Anderson manning the hot corner at third. Urias at second, and Rowdy Tellez, at first base. So when you look at that, Tony, I kind of see it as pitching is great, starters and bullpen, but the offense leaves a ton to be desired.
Yeah, I do agree. And it's actually pretty funny. You mentioned how Willy Adames is looked at now on this team as their kind of go-to guy. Even Rowdy last season, I think, had a stint where he was just like, I think he had like a home run like almost every other game.
35 home runs. You don't think about that. Hit 219.
Right, but still, he's a big dude. He's at the first base position. He's got a lot of power behind his bat, a good, nice, smooth swing. But again, that was just kind of his power. And I feel like that's something that wasn't exactly, anticipated from him, nor was it kind of the norm for his type of play. So I don't know if you can really rely on that again next season. I will say, though, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about the Cubs as well, but I think the fact having Bellinger and Yelich kind of in their same division here, 2 guys who were once a few years ago,
MVPs,
going for the
literally
MVPs. Like it was them racing for the NL MVP. I think maybe that'll spark some type of competition, them two maybe seeing each other. And I would hope so. Like you mentioned, Yelich is still relatively youthful.
Bellinger even younger.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that those 2 players in general were at the top of the league, and now they're dog shit, Like, it's so ridiculous.
I mean, it seems like how could it be anything other than mental? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe there's some thought to like baseballs being juiced up back in
Yeah,
2019. I
but
know Brett
still,
Gardner had
though.
20 home runs.
Yeah, but still, dude.
It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
you still should be able to hit 25 home runs and
Yeah.
hit 265.
It's funny with Bellinger. I hear a lot of people talking about his batting stance because he's a stand-up batter, which is obviously not many people do that anymore. People are very much against it. Obviously you see most batters are more athletic batting stance, and they're pointing that towards inconsistency. But it's like, I don't know, dude. It's really something I just can't put my finger on it. I don't know.
And you got to be better than that. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and one guy too, Wilson Contreras' brother William. They both started the All-Star game last year. 20 home runs, 45 RBIs last year. So,
Wow.
Actually a pretty good year, 860 OPS. So as a catcher, that's very valuable. So definitely some talent on this team, but I think, can they score enough runs to compete with the Cardinals is the biggest question. You mentioned the Cubs. So they're a team, once again, where, you look at the rotation. I mean, I guess it's not the worst rotation I've ever seen. I mean, you got Stroman, Tyone, who really did have a pretty solid year with the Yankees, but I see him more as a 4-starter, not a 2, which is where they have him slotted in. Justin Steele, Kyle Hendricks, and Drew Smiley rounding out the rotation. So I see a bunch of guys there that are 3 to 5 starters, and I think that's the problem. So I don't know if you have a guy that's going to dominate the opponent for a full game. So I think that's a big question mark. Marcus Stroman ended up okay last year, 3.5 ERA after a brutal previous season. So it'll be interesting to see, what he does. You got Brandon Hughes at closer, Michael Fulmer setting him up as far as Brad Broxberger as well. So 2 guys that were once all-stars. Julian Merriweather, another guy who closed for the Blue Jays, Jeremiah Estrada. And then you look at the offense, Tucker Barnhart at catcher, Eric Hosmer at first, Nico Homer at second, Patrick Wisdom at third. Their big offseason acquisition, Dansby Swanson at short. And then the outfield, Hap, Bellinger, and Saya Suzuki, the second-year player from Japan. And they have Mancini plugged in at DH. So, I mean, I guess I would say, honestly, that especially potential-wise, the offense, I think, has the potential to be better than Milwaukee's. But I think their pitching is what's going to hold them back. Not really much confidence in really any of the guys in the rotation or the bullpen, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, I feel like, again, you mentioned some of the names there. Stroman, I don't think will have a phenomenal year. Tyone either. Like, maybe they'll be like run-of-the-mill average. They got Drew Smiley as well. I mean, when he was on the Braves, I believe nothing special from him. And I feel like Kyle Hendricks, I mean, his ERA was probably above a 4 last year, right? Like well above a 4.
It
so
seems like his better days are
behind him, and he's older, 33, 31, maybe
I think
something
33.
around there. So I just think that their pitching is going to be a big issue. I love their infield. I think defensively, they're going to work really well. I think when Stroman pitches, we know he's a contact pitcher there. I think that middle fielder is going to be quick. They'll turn double plays real nice and easy. Love the Dansby Swanson pickup. And even the Cody Bellinger as well. I mean, I think, trying to get something going. I do enjoy watching Ian Happ. Trey Mancini is good too. So I think, like you said, offense will be, I think, there. It'll be, I guess, just a matter of how consistent these pitchers can be, which I don't have a ton of confidence in. But you never know. I mean, they could have a good run differential if their offense is going, so they could win some games that way.
And then moving along here, the Pirates are an interesting case because, as we saw with the standings last year, I think the Cubs, won 15, 16 more games than the Pirates. But it seems like, just looking at the roster here, that there's a potential for them to compete with the Cubs for that 3rd spot. Some young talent, a guy I really like, Roansy Contreras, I feel like really came into his own last year. And another starter I like, Mitch Keller, and I know you remember, pitching against the Mets. He had that good start. Numbers wise, I mean, 5-12, but 3.91 ERA. And at times just really dominated the opponent. So he's a guy, that I think has some potential. Still 26 years old. So I feel good about him and Contreras at the top of the rotation. But then you go Rich Hill, Vince Velasquez, JT Brubaker.
yeah.
Those are some guys that really could get roughed up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they do. But as I mentioned with Contreras, 23 years old. So a lot of potential there. And last year, he had a 3.79 ERA. And some, dominating starts like Keller. So they're going to lean on the two of them at the top of the rotation. Bullpen, I mean, I have to say, not many guys I've heard of other than Robert Stevenson. I believe he used to be on the Reds, if I'm not mistaken. And you have Bednar as the closer, David Bednar. Will Crow.
Is that gonna be a name we'll be saying a lot?
Was this guy on the Reds? I got
Looks like Cincinnati,
there we
Colorado
go.
last year. Yeah.
Dwayne Underwood Jr., Tony,
Who's that?
Exactly. Colin Holderman, but David Bednar as the closer. I mean, who the heck is this guy?
David Bednar,
28
dude.
years old, had 19 saves for last year, 69 strikeouts. So maybe we're sleeping on him. 28 years old. And
He's been the Padres, I guess.
Okay. So that's decent, in terms of production. And then on the offensive side of things, I mean, Brian Reynolds is your best player. The question mark is going to be, is he going to be there for the entire season? I mean, I think, that's a major question mark. And then
O'Neal Cruz,
I think will have a great year.
Yeah.
As well as Brian Hayes, former, the son of former Yankee third baseman Charlie Hayes. He's looking to really burst out. You got Rodolfo Castro as well.
Nice. Yeah, he's good.
Jack
G-Man?
Straczynski. G-Man I think is solid. You also have Carlos Santana. And then Andrew McCutcheon coming back to Pittsburgh.
Oh, geez,
does he energize the team? Does he get, them kind of headed in the right direction? So, I mean, there's some things to like. Austin Hedges is catcher as well. So a mix of vets and prospects. So I think the key will be, what O'Neal, Reynolds, and Brian Hayes do this season. I think that's going to go a long way in determining where the Pirates finish. And Cruz, 233, 17 and 54 last year. I think he'll have a lot stronger season and only 24 years old. I believe we have a couple comments, Tony.
We do, Brian. So first off, Matthew, bright and early, says, can't wait to talk about the Blue Shirts' epic victory.
Let's go.
Let's go. Absolutely, dude. He goes, how I is. And then Donna Barnaby says, good morning, guys. Just tuned in. What are the new rule changes in baseball?
Good morning, Mom. Thanks for tuning in. And she's referring to Patrick liking the clean shave look, that being my godson. And I think I talked to you about it a while ago, how
when you
shave kind of got him a
freaks
little
him out.
but we had a good FaceTime the other day. So
nice, dude.
That's what she's referring to. But rule changes in baseball, Mom. Really, a couple things. The biggest thing being the pitch clock. So they're timing the amount of time when the pitcher gets the ball. He has 15 seconds to deliver the pitch. The batter can't step out of the box. So this was an effort to reduce the time of the game. The only thing is, if the pitcher doesn't deliver the ball within that 15-second period, it counts as a ball. And we've seen some spring training games end on that, where the pitcher didn't deliver the ball, bases were loaded, team walked it off. So something that they're still working out now. Maybe they end up lengthening that to 20 just to make sure the guys aren't rushing too much. But that's a big change. And then outlawing the shift, you can only have two guys on each side of second base, nobody in the outfield. So no longer will we see the second baseman in right field. And then some wider bases, I believe 3 inches on width and height. So that kind of providing the base runners kind of more of an incentive to try to steal bases, as there's a shorter distance to travel. So those are the main things. Game times have definitely gone down in spring training. It'll be interesting to see what the differences are once we reach the regular season. And then lastly, in the division, Tony, we do have the Cincinnati Reds. And you want to talk about a fall from grace. That's a team that's really, one time had some decent talent. You look at it now. I mean, Hunter Green, there's a lot of expectations. Can he finally perform this year? You got Nick Lodolo as well, Graham Ashcroft, and then former Yankee Luis Sessa and Luke Weaver, the former Cardinal, as your fifth starter. Alexis Diaz, Edwin's brother, as the closer. He pitched pretty well last year. Lucas Sims, Buck Farmer setting him up. In terms of the offense, I mean, Joey Votto had a great year a couple years ago, struggled last year. It'll be interesting to see what he does. They also have Will Myers, Jonathan India, Spencer Steer, Kevin Newman, TJ Friedel, Nick Senzel, and Jake Fraley. So not exactly the who's of offense, Tony. So far of all the rosters that we looked at, is this potentially the worst roster in Major League Baseball?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I guess. I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like the Rockies is kind of pretty bad too.
At least you have like a Chris Bryant though, who healthy. I honestly healthy. He'll hit 39 home runs.
I kind of like Jonathan India.
Yeah.
No?
He's not
he posted
bad.
good numbers last season.
Votto 205, 11, and 41 after that resurgent year. 39 years old. I just feel like it's going to be tough for him. India, 10
home runs, 249.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's nothing that pops off the page. I'm interested to see what Hunter Green does this year. 5-13 last year, 4.44 ERA, only 23. I believe he was like one of the top pitching prospects in Major League Baseball last season. So
drafted first round, second of the 2017 June.
So this is a big year for him. So I guess for the Reds, it's just sorting out who's going to be here moving forward. But the ownership has really done that fan base a disservice. I'm sure my mom will like that one. Nothing like a clean shaven brain. Just for the fact they don't spend any money. They have a nice ballpark there. I've had a loyal fan base, but nobody's going to go to these games if they can't score any runs. So it is kind of a shame to see that. So I think they're in for a long season. Of course, we will see. But Tony, it is time, if you would, give us your order of finish 2023 NL Central,
dude. All right. From the top, baby, we're going with the Cards. I just think right now, I understand, I pointed out some issues with their rotation, some question marks with Goldschmidt maybe, but still, like I said before, even Goldschmidt, not really having a season like he did last year, still going to be a good season from him. You expect it from Arenado as well. You expect the rotation still to probably do well. I mean, Adam Wainwright, I know his age, maybe a little bit on the decline, but I think that guy still has a couple more years left.
Decent year last year.
Yeah, I mean, decent years. I think there was some signs of decline. I noticed when, he would have some really inconsistent runs, I feel, stretches, but I still think Cards, I mean, they have 96 wins last year. I'll probably put them around there. I would say 95 wins, clocking in at first place there. Second place, I think this is where things can get a little hairy. I want to say, I'm going to go with the Cubs second place.
Interesting.
Yeah. Love the middle infield. Like I said, I think they're a really kind of, I guess, quick. I really do think they're going to work well. I think Dansby Swanson's going to have another great year. That adds a lot, I think, of runs to the team just in general. Bless you. Cody Bellinger as well as another one. I think you're going to see some type of a resurgent year. I don't know. I'm just thinking that they're going to have more offense than the team that would be in third. I'll put them in second there, maybe around 88 wins.
Which would be a big for them.
Huge, dude. And then third place is going to be your Brewers. I'll put them at around maybe 83, 80 wins, somewhere in that ballpark range. I just can't really see Yelich kind of, I mean, dude, what do you have? 14 home runs, you say, last year? I don't know. I like I said, I think Bellinger is more likely to look like his own self than Yelich. I think it might be something a little bit more mental with Yelich, more than just mental, I should say. I think he broke his kneecap, right, 2 years ago, right before the postseason. That seemed to really take a significant toll. That was when the Brewers were making a push to hopefully make some type of run in the postseason as well. And he was kind of a big part of it. And him breaking that kneecap was just absolutely just devastating. So I would say, even with Burns too, I mean, I don't know, dude, I kind of question their pitching. I mean, Corbin Burns, obviously we know had a great year last year. Expect to have something similar this year. But I'm just looking at the rest of the pitchers in the roster. I mean, Freddie Peralta, we know Woodruff is good too, but Devin Williams, dude, Aaron Ashby, I don't know. I can't really see it. So give me them in third with about somewhere around 80, 83 wins. And then below them, I'll put Pittsburgh. I don't know, dude. Like probably somewhere around 62 wins, similar to last year, right? Them and Cincinnati both at 62 wins.
Yes.
And then Cincinnati, I'll give them like 55 wins, last place. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with that. I am slightly mixing it up here. So at the top, I'm actually going to go with the Brewers. I don't know. Maybe it's I just want to see it, but for some reason, I just feel like Yelich is going to hit 30 home runs and hit like 260. So not the 44 home run Yelich that we saw, but a resurgent season out of him. And then, I think Willie Adames and Tellez will produce again this year. But what it's really going to be about is that pitching staff. I think Woodruff and Burns are two guys that could conceivably make the All-Star team. I've always liked Freddie Peralta's arm. So you think about that. You think about Devin Williams, who may be the best closer in the National League. I like him at the back end. So I think the Brewers
Best closer in the National League, dude.
will look at the numbers, though. Pull up the numbers, though. Really. I understand Diaz had great numbers, but pull up Devin Williams' numbers. So I'm going to say that they're going to finish in first. Let's give them 93 wins. Look at that strikeout rate. So 93 wins for the Brewers, edging out the Cardinals actually by 1 game. So this is going to come down to the last week of the season. I'm going to say 92 wins for the Cardinals. A little bit of a different feel with no Pujols, no Molina this season. I'm going to go with the Pirates actually in third place. I like those young hitters. And then I like Roansy Contreras and Mitch Keller. I think O'Neal Cruz could 35 home runs, be an all-star starter this season. And then Brian Reynolds, if he stays with the team, I think we'll have a good year. Cubs in fourth. I just don't like the offense. Maybe Bellinger and Swanson have decent years, but I think, lack of offense, lack of pitching, lack of talent. And speaking of all of that, I think nobody defines that more than Cincinnati Reds, who I finished in last. So we'll give the Pirates, we're going to say 82 victories, the Cubs 69, and the Reds 57 wins, Tony, for your Cincinnati Reds. So interesting stuff for sure. And I was going to
Cubs, huh?
Yeah. And I was going to mention this. Isn't this crazy? We've already burned through 4 divisions.
It is actually
doesn't feel
crazy.
like it.
It really doesn't at all.
Started.
I know.
So
much longer.
The only 2 left are the AL East and the NL East. And I, honestly was going to go with the NL East first, but then I was just thinking about it. Matthew, I would imagine, is coming back tomorrow for Friday.
I don't know. Well, I mean, we're not going to be here tomorrow. Because of the Vermont trip.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
all right.
We'll
have to, yeah. Next week.
So I don't know. Yeah, there were some murmurs I heard of Matthew trying to produce the show with you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, just whatever we have to do. So we'll just keep everybody posted, Tony. I mean, that's what we always do. No?
Yeah, exactly. Keep you posted.
I don't know why I'm blanking about this Vermont trip. What's going on here?
What's going on here, huh? Well, so we're going. Renee, Michael, and I are going up to Vermont. Killington, Vermont.
Actually skiing.
Yes, we're gonna go skiing.
Wow. Okay.
A very nice client of ours, Rocky Pagano, I believe is his last name.
Okay.
But we know him as Rocky Rip Roar.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of us doing shoots for Rip Roar.
Yeah.
He does Rip and Raise every year. Great guy. Great cause, getting people outdoors and everything like that. He has like a condo, I guess, up in Vermont, and he was nice enough to be like, hey man, we met with him for a job. He's like, oh, anytime you guys want to eat, and obviously, you put the offer out there.
You're going to take it.
You got to take it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the free house up in Vermont, just got to worry about, ski tickets, whatnot, food. So the three of us, excuse me, are going up late tonight, skiing early tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Back on Saturday night, dude.
Wow.
And I don't know about you and skiing, but I've been skiing twice. I say I've really only been skiing once because the first time I actually went was just a horrific experience in terms of me not being able to do it. Last time I went was actually New Year's, Vermont. I think I was getting a good hang of it, dude. So I am so stoked to get back on the mountain, Brian. Mike gets excited about these things. He snowboards too, so he's all about the snowboard and shredding. Ooh, dude. And I'm excited for all three of us to have a good time and hopefully come home unscathed.
Yeah. I did the skiing one time, and I'm sure I'll revisit it at some point, but I don't know. I get why people like it.
Right.
I'm just saying, just a fit for me specifically. It is a little tough, just because my friends always go on like a ski trip every year.
Right.
I went with them once, and it's just like all day in the cold.
Right.
Like, they're telling me they're on the mountain 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that.
Yeah, they're like, mountains open like 8 to 4, and
Yeah.
people like are online at 8 o'clock, and it is so tough to get into, I feel, especially like a ski trip like that,
Right.
where if you're that guy who doesn't ski,
Right.
doesn't really know what he's doing, like, your buddies are going to be like, all right, we're going to go off here in the fucking Black Diamond. You can go on the baby one, whatever. Then you're like kind of alone. You don't really know what you're doing.
Right.
And skiing can get pretty hairy very quickly, dude. Like if you're not careful,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I luckily
it's
avoided
tough.
serious injury. Knee was a little bulky.
Yeah,
but also
dude.
I'm just not a winter guy.
Yeah.
I'm me and Matthew, same way. The summer, it's all about the summer.
Yeah, no, not for me. Dude.
So I think, eventually we'll make a return to the mountain, but there has to be certain stipulations. Also, and it can't be too cold, because like when they just went, they were telling me like saliva was freezing on their like something, and it's just like just keep me inside. Keep me at a fire. I'm all for like hanging in the lodge, the fireplace, all of that. The hot tub, but mountain wind in your face, Tony. But I think it's good you guys are going this time of year, because obviously, it's not as cold as it would be, middle of the winter.
Right. I believe weather reports say that like tonight and tomorrow they're getting like hammered with snow. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it should be good. I don't really it's funny because I've been skiing with people who are like hardcore skiers, and they're all like, oh, dude, like the conditions suck, like whatever. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like whatever, like there's snow on the ground, like ski.
Yeah.
Sort of deal. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it. Hopefully it isn't like a blizzard up on the mountain while we're there, because that could get a little uncomfortable.
Are you gonna, with all that snow, are you gonna be able to like record anything?
Dude,
GoPro?
Obviously
waterproof.
GoPro,
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, every GoPro. I don't know about every GoPro, but the one that most GoPros waterproof. They're meant to fucking you can throw them around.
But I feel like the cameras are gonna be left in the car
while we're skiing, for sure. We're not bringing these cameras out on the mountain, dude. Might be a bad idea, dude.
Well, we need them here for Matthew producing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted on that scenario. But let's go now to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by McCarr. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh my goodness!
That's the top right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores! The winner in overtime!
All right. So we did actually have a game winner in overtime scenario last night for your New York Rangers.
Hell yeah, baby.
Kane's debut put on hold till tonight. But actually, their other marquee addition that they had of recent, Vladimir Tarasenko, Tony, with that game winner against the Flyers there in overtime.
Huge.
So, of course, you're going to look at this game. You're going to look at Torts and the Flyers and feel like, you should have dominated them. You shouldn't have been trailing in the third period. But, of course, the couple points you get here, the victory, that's what it's all about. But just to give you the synopsis here, we started out in the first period. Mika, who's been on a bender lately, 32nd goal on a power play, assisted actually by Tarasenko, and Artemi Panarin, 49th assist for Panarin as he approaches the 50 assist mark. Owen Tippett before the end of the period there, a power play goal, tying the game at 1. Scott Loughton made it 2-1 Flyers halfway through the second. Chris Kreider on a tip-in.
Yeah, great tip-in.
Initially, Sam Rosen thought Tarasenko scored it, but
no,
it tipped off of Kreider, so that was his 26th as he looks to get going here. It is amazing though with him, and it's not like he's having a terrible year, but just when we get like the difference of this year and last year, do you feel though like goal scoring wise, it's really just a matter of the goals being spread out and they're kind of scoring at the same pace. It's just not so heavily reliant on him, being
On
26
Kreider?
compared to 50 last year.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, you don't really expect, especially with the changes in the team, that I'd expect Kreider to have another 50 goal year, to be honest. What was it? His 25th, 26th,
Sixth.
26th. Last night. I mean, dude, that's still great. I mean, he's still a great hockey player. He's a presence in front of the net, goal scoring or not. And I mean, those tip in goals, I mean, listen, that was his bread and butter last year, which is fine. It was a lot of tip in goals, a lot of breakaway goals, which is great. I mean, it's not a knock to his ability. But with the skill players on the ice, with Trocheck, with Zibanejad, with Panarin, with now Tarasenko, and tonight's gonna be Kane. Those players don't necessarily always look for those tip-in goals. I mean, so Zibanejad's power play goal was just bread and butter, nice passing. Zibanejad happened to be open net, puts it back. Like those types of players aren't necessarily all the time looking, for that tip-in goal with Kreider in front. I mean, and I'm honestly all about that role that Kreider plays into, because hey, you're still a presence from the net. You're making the defense worry about you. You're screening the goaltender. That's the type of role he kind of took this year. And again, you're still scoring 26 goals. Like that's still great. And the season's not over yet. He's gonna hit more than 30.
I think low to mid 30s. And it really doesn't surprise me. I kind of expected this. I mean, it's just you look at his career too. He's just a guy. High 20s, low 30s. 50 was like
wow,
insane. Yeah. But it's nice to see Mika with that surge in scoring as well. That's been welcomed. And then of course you got your new guys, and speaking of that, like I mentioned, Tarasenko 13th of the year in OT, assisted by Hedel and Schneider on that one. 3-2 victory. Rangers win 35th victory of the season.
Oh yeah.
So all in all, you feel really, really good about getting this victory before you really see this final version of this Rangers team with Kane in the mix, how they're going to sort out the lines, all of that. So I mean, do you take away any negative feels here, Tony, just that the Flyers had you on the brink, or are you more just focused on that you won and you're adding a 3-time Stanley Cup champion in Patrick Kane tonight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's definitely your bigger storyline there. I don't think necessarily the Rangers did a bad job. I mean, they had a lot of great chances. Carter Hart was on top of his game last night for sure. Someone who was started out the season so hot, kind of cooled off a little bit. Looking at his stats, 907 save percentage. Goals against on average is 2.94. Only one shutout this year, and I believe that shutout was, I think, one of the first shutouts in the league this season. Like I said, he came out onto the scene for the Flyers super hot. He is a very impressive goaltender, very youthful too. He's only 24 years old. He's going to be a goaltender you can definitely build upon. And like I said, I mean, you look at the game last night, you even watch the highlights. I mean, you see all the chances the Rangers had. Carter Hart made phenomenal saves where, any other goaltender, you may see the back of the net. So, really this game could have easily slipped heavily in the favor of the Rangers. It could have been like a 6-2 game easily. I will say first period, you're watching this game. I think the Rangers came out pretty heavy, pretty aggressive. I think they were up 5 shots on goal to none. By the end of the first period, I think it was like 11-10. We were trailing behind the Flyers on shots on goal. So I think maybe a little bit, maybe too much aggressiveness in the beginning caused for some stupid turnovers. But I mean, listen, in the end, like you say, a win is a win, and the Rangers third period have been so great. They're actually, I wrote down this stat I saw on the broadcast. After last night now, actually, a third period goal differential for the Rangers is plus 23. So, I mean, they're scoring 23 more goals than they're giving up in the third period. That's great. That means that, this team's in shape. They don't give up. They have grit. Not to mention, they're winning games in the third period. That's when that's kind of something that separates, like phenomenal teams from great teams. It's like in the last 10 minutes of a game, when you're back against the wall, like how are you going to react? The Rangers have been reacting historically well this season. They were 1-for-1 on the power play. They held for the Flyers 1-for-3 on the power play. The Rangers won almost 60% of their faceoffs. So again, I just think they ran into a little bit of a wall with Carter Hart. I don't think anything of this. We've seen the Flyers have some solid stretches here. They have a talented team. Torello certainly knows and has definitely wants to beat the Rangers when they come into Philly for sure. So great job for the Rangers. A win is a win. On to tonight. Good things to take away. Bad things to take away. Let's just improve tonight. Let's go. Back-to-back games. Patty Kane. Let's go.
Were you impressed with the Oilers 5-2 over Toronto last night? Connor McDavid, Tony, 2 goals, up to 52 on the season. And you really, Toronto, I mean, I thought they would, handle Edmonton here. Just seemed like a more talented team, but not the case. Samsonov, allowing those 5 goals. Stuart Skinner, 26-28. Maybe are we not giving Edmonton enough credit?
Yeah, I guess maybe. I mean, I'm a little bit harder on Edmonton, I guess, than normal people, than regular people, whatever. Again, you look at this game, you do think Toronto's going to put up a better fight. I think they had a hard time finding the back of the net too because of Skinner. And again, just looking at this team stats, shots were 28-32 in favor of Edmonton. Hits were 22-25 in favor of Edmonton. Faceoffs won. Toronto won 35 of their faceoffs. Edmonton only winning 27. So, Toronto being able to get possession, obviously not really able to retain it though. I don't know. I mean, it seems like, again, they had, I guess, decent chances. I mean, 28 shots on goal for winning almost 57% of the faceoff seems kind of low to me, especially for Toronto. I mean, again, they have probably like 35 shots on goal on average. So that's pretty interesting. I wonder really why maybe, some guys didn't show up. I mean, you'll get kind of who scored for Toronto. Kampf, Mitch Marner scored. Obviously we know about Marner, but, everyone else, I mean, O'Reilly, Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, Bunting, even Kerfoot. These are all guys that you normally see on the score sheet. They didn't really show up last night. So, again, I mean, maybe I could imagine Edmonton had great defense. I think maybe just an off night. I mean, Austin Matthews only 2 shots on goal. Tavares only 2 shots on goal. What's going on there? Obviously, things were not happening. For the Rangers, for the Maple Leafs there. And of course, Edmonton got going pretty early. You mentioned McDavid with 2 goals, having the assist. Hyman had a goal. Yamamoto had a goal, so they did a good job, obviously, on both sides of the puck there last night. Stuart Skinner was pretty solid. You do expect Samsonov to have a little bit better of a night. I mean, 844 save percentage, only 27 saves in the 32 shots. Like, that's tough, dude. I saw a couple of McDavid's goals too. It was like your pretty typical, like McDavid just coming in, skating hard through the zones, and he just rips one like over the right pad of Samsonov. It's like, Samsonov, you probably should have that one. Like, come on, dude. Like, he's gonna shoot. All right, like, come out aggressive. Be a little bit more patient as a goaltender too with McDavid. He makes moves. So, whatever, dude. Whatever, Brian.
Yeah. And I think energy probably was poor for Toronto, but yeah. I still think they're a better team.
Definitely.
But McDavid's unbelievable. I mean, let's say it how it is. One thing that we missed, and we were talking about this before the show, we were thinking Gorgie got lit up last night, but it was Justice Anenan.
I know, no name. I did say Georgiev was off.
Oh, I thought when you said
off.
Right.
Oh,
right. That's what you meant.
Now I see the confusion, Brian.
There we go.
Yep.
But 6 goals. So I think, I mean, of course it's nice for the Devils, but 22-year-old tender, not much experience. I mean, I don't think you could look that much into it. And I think it would have been a completely different scenario with Georgiev and net. But obviously 7 goals is impressive. And we saw Heischer with his 26 at the end of the game. Mercer's up to 20 now as well.
Love Mercer, dude.
But obviously, just like the Rangers are waiting on Patrick Kane, the Devils waiting on that Timo Meier debut. So I think that'll be exciting to see. what they look like with him in the fold. Definitely going to be a dangerous offense. That is for sure. They are off tonight, but you know who isn't off tonight, Tony? That would be the New York Rangers.
Oh, yeah,
part
brother.
of a busy slate here in the National Hockey League. Enough for us to go 4 games apiece. We talked about how yesterday did not go our way, each only going 1 and 2. So you sit at 23 points. I sit at 21. What do you think about Patrick Kane's debut tonight at the Garden?
I think I can get tickets as low as $189 right now.
Yeah,
dude.
and then the fees are
Fees,
$289.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. So Rangers at home tonight in the Garden. Patrick Kane's debut. It's interesting. I wonder if they did wait to debut him just because it's a home game.
That's true.
But anyway, just food for thought there. Ottawa on a 3-game winning streak right now. These two teams have met twice already, splitting those games 1-1 right now. So this is the third and last time, the tiebreaker, as some may say. And Rangers only minus 160. I understand. You look at Ottawa's last 3 games. They scored 17 goals in the last 3 games, beating Detroit back-to-back, then beating Montreal. Detroit, obviously the better team there, but I don't know, dude. They only let up 5 goals in those last 3 games as well. So obviously they're on a little bit of a hot streak. Got a nice spread going there. Rangers on a 2-game winning streak, coming off of a 3-game losing streak, actually. We know we did beat Philly. They're on the back-to-back now. So you would imagine I don't know. You think they'll do Shesterkin tonight?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
Ottawa.
But Ottawa.
I don't know, dude. I think, honestly, regardless, I don't know, dude. Patrick Kane starting for the Rangers. You think about the talent compared to Ottawa. The Rangers should be minus 1,000.
And I was just thinking, too, I think Shesterkin's definitely going to be benched. I want him to be fresh for that Bruins game on Saturday. That's national TV, ABC.
Dude, the Bruins, they're crazy. And I'm going to get to it because the Bruins just traded for someone overnight.
Anybody crazy?
Tyler Bertuzzi from Detroit.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I always stands out because I always think about Bertuzzi. That was, I think he was on. Was he on Detroit as well?
Which one?
There was a Bertuzzi like in the early 2000s.
Back in the day?
Yeah. Todd? Is there a Todd Bertuzzi?
That does sound familiar. Let's look it up. Todd Bertuzzi, ice hockey, right winger on Detroit. Oh, wow. Yeah, dude.
Isn't
I
that,
do remember this.
But
guy.
I don't think he's related as far as I know. Children, no.
No. Children, no. That's pretty crazy, dude.
But
Tyler Bertuzzi, pretty solid. 28 years old. He's got 14 points in the season. Not a lot to kind of bring away, but he's had some breakout years. Like last year, 30 goals, 32 assists.
But also, whatever he brings to the Bruins, they don't even need it.
I know.
We've seen how they've played.
And
this year.
they got Bertuzzi for, I think, 2 draft picks. Like, that's it,
Right, so
dude.
they're
And,
not
like,
losing
who are the Bruins really drafting, realistically? They don't need anyone.
Right.
So, Bruins, absolutely ridiculous. But on to the Rangers tonight. Patrick Kane, first game, first goal as a Ranger. Absolutely,
I know. I just
dude.
really feel like it.
It's in the bag. That line's going to be on too with Trocheck and with Panarin. Give me a goal and assist for Kane, a goal for Panarin, 2 assists for Trocheck. That line's going to be on fire. Another goal for Zibanejad. Philip Hedl is someone who has been skating really well. I saw him last night. He was making some great dump the pass, fucking get to the front of the net sort of deal, and I love that. Just charge the net, dude. Just be there, So I think he's gonna find the back of the net, whether it's a tip in, whether it's a rebound goal, something. You put yourself in front of the net, you're gonna find the back of it. I'm sure. I'm gonna say the Rangers win this one 4-1.
I like it. Let's do it. Let's go. Pumped to see Kane, that's for sure. Are you gonna get to catch up any before you guys go, or are you probably leaving right around puck drop?
Oh, dude. Well, the funny thing is, I'm working the basketball game tonight.
Oh, and then right from there.
Yeah, dude.
Is it the semifinal for the NEC tournament?
No, it's not.
Or is this a women's basketball game?
This is a women's game.
Okay, because men won last
Monday. I'm working the game. I picked up another game on Monday, another playoff game for the men's team.
Okay, I think that's the NEC.
That's the semifinal.
I'm surprised they're off till Monday.
I know, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Dude, these schedule people, dude. They don't,
Who the hell knows?
Especially now you push it off till Monday. Like the whole school's on spring break. Like, why would you do that?
I I don't know. About that
Yeah,
one.
so stupid, dude. No more juice, dude.
So we were just talking Bruins. I have to take them. I know, kind of playing with
against the
fire. They've won
Sabres,
so many games, and Thompson. I mean, we get it, Thompson, but Pasternak. I mean, been shot for shot with them. I mean, very similar numbers. They both have 80 points. Pasternak has 42 goals. Thompson has 41. Pasternak has 38 assists. Thompson has 39.
Wow.
So right in the same ballpark. But obviously, I mean, I think
Bruins
the big
have other
advantage-
players though.
defense, other offensive players, Allmark in net, Tony. So that's why they're minus 305. So I want to say 5-3 Bruins over the Sabres. Pasternak with the old hat trick. Thompson, 2 goals just for good measure.
For good measure, dude. Looks like the Bruins already. Goaltender. Linus Allmark unconfirmed
Versus
against
Pekka
Luukkonen.
Luukkonen. Pekka Luukkonen.
Quite the name there. And I was gonna look at the Kings. Phoenix Copley. Obviously, Jonathan Quick is now traded away. LA -2. I'm actually have to touch this game. Emotional team. No way. We have emotion at the door, Brian. Seattle -120 there. Oh boy, dude. Give me the Maple Leafs. Another on the back-to-back. They're going to be in Calgary tonight. They're actually the underdog here at -125. Calgary's -125, that is. I just think, with the off night that the Maple Leafs had against the Edmonton Oilers, you're going to see a bounce-back game, specifically by Jonathan Tavares. 3 goals and an assist for Tavares tonight. That's the hat trick plus the assist, Brian.
Wow.
Okay. I see Toronto wins this one 5-2. I would imagine Matt Murray in between the pipes. Standing by. Dude, I hate. They need like a better format here, better layout. Am I losing it, dude? Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, Joseph Wall confirmed. Oh. That's tough, dude. I'll still take the Maple Leafs, I guess.
Joseph Wall, dude.
1-1 on the season, 258 goals against, 929 save percentage, but obviously, only 2 starts this season for him. Very interesting move. The 24-year-old from St. Louis. That's not St. Louis, Missouri, I don't think. I think it's like St. Louis, Canada, something.
Canada.
So I guess let's see what even his Montreal he started against, and Columbus, 2 pretty piss poor teams. Against Columbus, 36 saves on 40 shot attempts. Yeah, I mean it's 900 right there. Whatever, dude. Give me Wall here. I would say closer game. 5-4 Maple Leafs. Let's go, dude.
Wait, did you say is Copley starting? I know you left your emotion at the door, but
unconfirmed, but he's there.
Okay. I'm gonna bring the emotion to the door because the Canadiens. I mean, listen, I haven't been impressed with the Kings, but they have played well this year. I mean, 34-20. I didn't expect to see that, and we know about Kopitar, Tony.
Oh gosh.
So all of that being
Kopitar,
Tony, I just feel like at home, they really shouldn't have a problem with St. Louis and the Canadiens, dude. So I mean, yeah, Jake Allen, the start, 3.35, save percentage under 9. Enough.
Enough.
2 goals and an assist, 2-0. Actually, no, 3-0. Kings over the Canadiens, dude.
How many games are going? We're going 3
4.
or 4 games. Holy shit. All right, dude. Let's fucking focus here. Give me Seattle, okay? Red Wings, I understand. They did lose back-to-back games against was it San Jose? No. Ottawa. Lost back-to-back games against Ottawa. They're on a 3-game losing streak. Just traded away Tyler Bertuzzi for nothing in hand right now, just draft capital. Okay. So they lost Bertuzzi. I understand it wasn't phenomenal. Like, oh my God, he was like a Dylan Walker and everything. But nonetheless, I understand Husso is going to be in between the pipes tonight. But, you just look at the last time these two teams met. Seattle won 4-2. And that was with Husso in between the pipes for them. So I think they don't have an issue. Jordan Eberle had 2 goals and an assist there. I just think, maybe Dylan Sprong has a couple goals here for Seattle. They are favored here, not by much, but they're marching into Detroit. I just think the Red Wings, with that out, Tyler Bertuzzi, give me the Kraken here. I'm going to say tight game, 4-2, empty netter at the end there.
And this might not be too much logic, but just based on law of averages, I got to take the Lightning at home here against Pittsburgh. They've lost their last 2 home games. They've lost 3 out of 4 games, and they got embarrassed by Florida 4-1 the other night. So I just think home crowd, they're riled up. Kucherov, Braden Point, Tony. I just feel like they're going to put a couple goals on the board early and let Vasilevsky do his thing. So give me the Lightning over Pittsburgh here. I'm going to say 3-1.
Wow. All right, I think I'm taking St. Louis tonight, actually. Another underdog going into San Jose. Look at these two teams. I just think that, these goaltenders, for example, it's going to be Binnington versus Reimer there. Reimer for the Sharks, 3.29 goals against on average, 895 save percentage. Jordan Binnington mirroring those exact numbers. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout here for both teams. You'll understand San Jose, no more Timo.
Eric
Carlson, the 77 points, only 19 goals, 58 assists. He's not assisting Timo Meier anymore. Okay. So give me Kyrou, who has 54 points in the season, 25 goals, 29 assists, with a goal and 2 assists tonight. And I say St. Louis takes this one in a shootout, who's, I think, a law of averages for them. They're going to be on a horrific losing streak recently.
5 in a row, and then the Sharks have lost 4 out of 5.
Yeah. So bounce back. St. Louis wins. Shootout of a game, not a shootout. Regulation, they win. The game is a shootout in general. Goal scoring left and right. St. Louis wins this one 6-5.
I am going to take the Minnesota Wilds over the Canucks. Obviously,
I don't know, man. Kuzmenko.
Sans Meyer. I just feel like, I think that
who?
Not Meyer, Horvath. Wait,
Horvat, Islanders.
Horvat. No, but Sans, meaning he's gone.
Oh, Sans.
You get it.
What do you have in that cup over there, Brian? Huh?
No, it's just one of those things you try to multitask for 2 seconds, Tony.
Yeah.
You're ready to come at me. But anyway, Fleury getting the start here. I had to say, I mean, me and you wrote him off a long time ago. And he's old because I remember playing NHL, 2K5, and he was the goalie for Pittsburgh. Here he is. He's still in net. But 2.86, 9.04 save. He's done well. Kaprizov, 37 goals, 34 assists. Hard to not be impressed with that. And Matt Zuccarello, the former Ranger, Tony, 37 assists as well.
That's great.
So as Vancouver leans on Elias Peterson, who's having a great year in his own right, approaching 30 goals and 50 assists, I think Fleury keeps him at bay. I think Zuccarello hooks up with Kaprizov twice and gets his own goal as well. 3-1. Minnesota over Vancouver.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Just like that.
Wow, Tony.
Wow.
So a couple things here before we wrap up shop. The first one, you already know what I'm going to say, so let's go. The Prism Pack Reveal. All right. As we approach 2 packs remaining here, is there gold out of these 10 cards? How many all-stars are we going to get? How many platinum cards will we get? We are going to find out right now. The pack is open. Tony running over to the camera. And the first one, and it is kind of funny to start off this final run here. Who else would it be than from the University of Auburn, Isaac Okoro, one of Michael's personal favorites. I believe this is number 37 of our Isaac Okoro collection, Tony. So a Crusade card, nevertheless. Son of a former Knick, went to the University of North Carolina. Cole Anthony, So a guy, that was drafted pretty high, has had a decent start to his career. We'll see if he can develop into the all-star that we expect him to be. And next, wow. I know I don't usually switch stuff around, but I have to this time. So from Vanderbilt University, Aaron Neesmith. So a guy, of course, we have a lot of his cards already. Another Crusade card, by the way, Tony. So get that Crusade right there, front and center. But I don't know if we've ever rounded out a Prism pack since we started this college collection a couple weeks ago with more power than this. Renee at the door, looming in because she wants to hear the first of two. We're going to have to get a bite from Renee on this, but two guys, two all-stars here, Tony. We'll start with the lesser of the two, but a great player in his own right. We might have one of his cards from Iowa State, Tyrese Halliburton. This is one of those times if Michael was in the hallway, he would burst right in of excitement for Tyrese Halliburton. Wow. And then who else to end the pack, Tony? You know who it is, from the University of Georgia, Anthony Edwards. So yet another Edwards card. You got the holographicness, and I want to say we're up to over 10 Edwards cards. Think back to the original packs. But finally, we get the pack that we all deserve, Tony. So what a day, what a life. So excited about that. I really think by far the best pack that we have had up to this point in the college Prism pack cards. So of course, great stuff right there.
Let's go.
Only other order of business here. One more time, we will give you the PGA Tour leaderboard update from the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard at Arnold Palmer's Bay Hill Golf Club and Resort. And right now, perched atop the leaderboard at 5 under par through 16 holes, started on the back 9, Adam Schenk at 5 under par. And he is trailed by 4 golfers at 4 under par: Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, and Aaron Ray. So a lot of firepower at the top. And how about this, Tony? 2 shots back of the leader, Chris Kirk, through 12 holes. So coming off that win at the Honda.
Big
that's
win
why
for
he's
him,
playing
dude.
this tournament. So
God, I hope Rory wins so bad, dude.
everyone gears up to get into position to be in the Players Championship next week. Interesting stuff. And next time we're with you, you will get a leaderboard update.
Love it.
Will that be tomorrow? Will we be crowning a champion on Monday? So many things left to sort out here. Also coming up Monday, the return of NHL for the gaming corner. I know Tony is shaking in his boots.
NHL, you say, dude.
NHL.
Wow.
Big.
Are you going to practice over the weekend?
We'll try to get in a game or two.
Come on,
But,
dude.
Tony, I mean, I could practice for 2 hours, and I still think you would put up 6 goals. I mean, I would
Stop
still
it,
one,
dude. Our game was
maybe.
pretty close, I thought, right?
I mean, I guess I'll try toggling the stick, but it's just a little frustrating.
Yeah,
a little frustrating.
you just need to get used to it. It's a little more finesse to it, you know?
There is a little more finesse to it. That is for sure. One thing I was actually going to ask you, I forgot when we were talking about your trip. What do we got for duration of the drive? Have you map quested it?
3.5 hours, I believe, right, Renee? Confirmed 3.5
and that's
hours.
Sands
Dude.
traffic, Tony?
Yes, dude. You love it in the sands, huh, dude?
You got to mix up the vocabulary. Every once in a while.
Oh, no, that's good. I like it. I love it. Love it.
And who is like the most veteran skier, snowboarder of the group?
You know, Michael, because it's funny because you hear him talking about it, and it's typical Fairfield boy growing up. He's like, oh, we used to go on school trips to fucking Vermont and stuff.
Right.
Which obviously, I mean, hey, man, I mean, you have that opportunity. Like, I'm happy that he had that opportunity. But, you know, field trips for me growing up was like, let's go to like the Museum of Modern Art, you know? So yeah, he's definitely the most veteran. Like I said to you, I've only skied like twice. Renee seems to be above an amateur. Above amateur, below expert.
Will any Black Diamond trails be skied on this weekend?
Yeah.
Really? You go like no trail scares you. You'll go off anything.
Oh no, it's good. But by the end of like middle, maybe after lunch, once we get our ski legs, sometimes if we go black, that could be like.
Renee, just get the mic ready.
Oh. Maybe like by like after lunch, like we got our ski legs on. We're fueled up.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do a black diamond at the end of the day because that's when you injure yourself. But then I saw one trail and it's like a black in the beginning and then it goes into a blue.
Oh, nice.
So we'll all try and venture and try. We'll see.
Yeah, I like that.
Wow.
Again, I think I need to just get that, like Renee was saying, the ski legs. Because like last time I went, I was getting some good cuts in, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna, give me a little time just to get used to it again,
Yeah. Has anybody ever gone off a jump?
Yeah.
A mini one.
Yeah. Same. First time
Mini?
I went. Yeah.
Maybe we should I've been watching videos of people going off like big jump. I've been watching a lot of ski videos. I'm getting inspired.
What would you guys say the percentage of me 20-foot jump,
20
no
feet.
injury, sticking the landing, first try?
First try. I'll give you a 0% on that one.
I'll give you 4%.
Dude, 20 feet
There's
is
optimism
fucking
there, Renee.
like, wow, dude.
But that is good stuff for sure.
Barnes, do you ski or snowboard?
I only went skiing once, and we were talking about it earlier in the show. I understand it. I think it's it's tough for me. The all day grind, the cold. I was saying me and Matt are the same way with like being summer people. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I could see you being very tough though, where, you're out there, it's 15 degrees, the wind's howling and you're just like ready to go.
You gotta like it.
Right.
Because like sometimes like your body does go numb, but you have to love what you're doing. Like I love it. So it's like,
yeah. Like I feel like I would need mild conditions. Like if it's my friends were just on a trip and they're saying like their saliva was freezing in their mouth. Like it's like I can't do that.
Wow. That's crazy.
That, dude.
You can't do that.
Some people,
Come
my
on,
parents, when
Tony.
they went on ski trips, they had sometimes, like even this year, honestly, would be the best year for you to ski because it's been so warm all winter.
Right.
That people like, I remember a few times going skiing that I would literally just wear a long sleeve t-shirt. That's it.
Wow.
When I was in Vermont for New Year's, there's guys with like just like a hoodie on skiing. And also I think it's good for the warmer weather because mountain wasn't that crowded.
But then sometimes trails close. That's what my friends were saying up in New Hampshire.
Yeah, but
that
again, like that it's normally when it's warmer, it's shit like up at the top that seems to be closed from what my experience is.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the snow doesn't really like it's you see fucking grass up there, man, which is pretty crazy to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes they keep them open, just put the old hazard flag in front of the grass.
Yeah.
And you just gotta watch out for that, dude.
Watch out for that. I guess my last question here before we wrap it up. Has anybody had a skiing injury in the past?
No.
No.
Wow.
I almost injured myself very badly one time.
How'd you avoid it at the last second?
I was just luck that I fell down. I went down a black in Vermont with Anna, and I did it way too soon. And I literally tumbled, like I'm talking head, feet, head, feet, lost my skis 2 times. Cause then I got myself all back together and then it happened again. And
nobody trampled you or anything.
No.
Wow.
But people remembered me because I was wearing my mom's like old 80s ski jacket and everyone's wearing all these like new ones. And so there was like there was a time that someone like went up to Anna's dad and was like, "Oh, you were with like the girl who tumbled down the mountain."
Oh my God. That is too funny.
But no injury.
Yeah. Well, that's the important part. But yeah, hopefully, I hope you guys enjoy the mountain. Hopefully the conditions aren't too frigid and you get some good runs in. I'm sure we'll see it all over, plastered all over social media.
Plastered, dude. You're gonna see me plastered on the side of the mountain, dude.
But yeah, other than that, of course, a big day on Monday on the horizon, between updating the weekend, crowning a champion at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, talking about the weekend in hockey, Also, NCAA tournament around the corner. I believe a week from Sunday is Selection Sunday. So that's kind of crazy that it's came up that
crazy.
quick.
It's March, yeah, madness.
So we'll be talking that. We'll be talking the Providence Friars, Tony. I know you're amped up for that conversation. Big East tournament, I believe, begins on Wednesday. ACC on Tuesday.
Watch out for Sacred Heart, dude.
A lot of stuff to talk about. And if we are able to put together an episode tomorrow, you will get some notifications. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. A couple of comments before we close up.
Yes, we have 3 comments, more than a couple actually. Matthew Gaber says, Mountain Men and Women, March Madness, DTV bracket, baby. And then to your demise, Brian, Friars stink, Barnes. They blew it the other night. Your mother must be tight.
It's about the overall body of work, Tony. We can't harp on a loss to Xavier yesterday in a game which they trailed by 20, cut the deficit to 2, and I think ultimately lost by 5 or whatever the case may be. But it's about conference tournament time, and I hope they do well. It'd be nice to see UConn and Providence matched up. And it's one of those things. Of course, I've always liked UConn, but going to all those Providence games over the years, hard to not have a soft spot for them. And just to see as a small Catholic university.
You're still talking shit. UConn fan, anyways. Come on,
Tony.
Dude.
Come on. No, but I'm always gonna wish them well because I have said it many times. I mean, Cooley might be the best coach in America. What he does with that group. So hopefully they're matched up. Of course, we will find out. But that being said, another great episode, and we really appreciate everybody tuning in, continuing to comment, like, and subscribe, checking out the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee in costume, the merch at downtimetv.com, the spring collection. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you. Mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.